to save on the time typing in and the likelihood of typos, I'm just going to paste in some information. So imagine the scenario: I am a organization that is looking to go back to work in our office, Threadneedle Street in London. And this will be taking place optimistically. Let's look at June. We'll maintain that as the date. I'm going to go for the facilities department. So it's obviously within the UK. And I will select my approving manager. And then enter the relevant details. In this case, this is a return to work risk assessment for Threadneedle Street to be shared among the workforce, as mentioned, a legislative requirement. And it is being conducted in this scenario in cooperation with the facilities management company. This is all obviously a hypothetical scenario. I'm going to look, and then I will provide details of this particular risk assessment and the requirements that go with that. You can include any attachments into any of your risk assessments. So what I'm going to look at here is providing some information around trauma and concerns among your workforce among that. And that can be, when we come to international travel, that could be a map, it could be a photo of where you're going or someone to meet. There's many examples that you can include. So that's the first component of your risk assessment. Within every template, there are a number of pre-designed questions that you will, when building the template, assign to them. So in this scenario, every question relates specifically to workplace safety amid COVID. I'm going to choose a few examples. So just to give you an example of what that would look like. And every question will have specific mitigation advice that goes with that. That is something that you can access through RiskPal, but importantly, you can edit and you can own as you within your organization, or if you have particular protocols that you want to customize, then you can edit that, and I will show you that towards the end of this demo. But let's just say this is some mitigation advice. The measures specifically that I will be following relate to, in this case, maximum 2 people per lift permitted, signage COVID supervisor will support. You can, again, entirely optional at the setup phase, assign likelihood and severity scales and those members that might be affected by this particular identified risk. I will just choose another. So this relates to our measures in place if an employee tests positive for COVID. Sorry, that is not the one I'm going to have. Do staff know what to expect on the return to work? If I were to assign that, again, comes with some mitigation advice, the ability to include your own mitigation measures. So I've put in some example information here around, this is part of our back to work program. We've done an education program for our workforce around this, and I've included that along with a number of typos that I've just spotted into this area. Again, you can assign severity, likelihood, persons at risk. The last one I will highlight, because I think for the organizations I've worked with, and I know this is one of, and has been one of the most challenging scenarios, which encompasses not just operations and business continuity, but critically communications among your workforces, are measures in place, and if employee tests positive for COVID whilst at work. I would assign that. I will include the measures that I'm going to take. So in this case, I've mentioned we're running our second business continuity exercise for such a scenario in May. This will cover the following aspects, comms being a key part of that, and representatives of the following teams will participate. So your senior management team, your occupational health team, facilities, human resources, HSE, etc., etc. And I've just added in here, the simulation exercise is planned within the first 2 weeks of opening the office. So this evidently would be have a major severity impact, likelihood we could say possible. Okay. Just a note on the scales that are used here. I understand that organizations have different, typically work by a 3 by 3, or in this case, a 5 by 5 matrix. At the point where we would activate and set up your account, that is again configurable to one of those matrix requirements. Persons at risk, project team member, and this could be other. And ultimately, this is where in RiskPal you would have the ability to select your questions. Now, I'm taking this example and I've come to complete this risk assessment, and I see in this example, there is nothing relating to post. And we have a large postal system, a lot of transactions going on every day, and a lot of people coming in and out. So we might want to look up in RiskPal's library if there is anything relating to post. And here we go. We have information on post, other deliveries received at the building, and I can include that within the risk assessment. And that has therefore been included. I'm going to move on. There is then the ability to include a brief and any other information. This will be published once approved in May, if I could get it right. And then that is submitted. So this will then go through the approval process outlined, which I'll highlight in a moment once we've done our travel risk assessment. This would be sent as a PDF and a notification in email to the designated manager, and ask for their review, editorial, and approval of the risk assessment. So if you just hold that process, and I will come back to that in a moment.